We are live.
1 minute. Not that we're expecting anyone.
We got one more than we usually
Good evening, and welcome to this regular meeting of the Helotes City Council. It's September 24th, 2020, and we're underway at 7 p.m. To start our agenda for the night, we'll have our invocation, and tonight Councilmember Fredericks will give the invocation, and then we'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance to the American and Texas flags. So if y'all will please stand for the invocation and pledges.
God of all creation, we come before you today to give you honor and praise, for you are worthy of our praise. You are the source of all our blessings, and we thank you for the gifts you bestow upon us. We ask for your grace upon all our citizens, and especially those who work for us. We ask that you guide our minds and hearts as we work for the good of all. Please guide and direct our meeting so that it is full of wisdom, productivity, and respect for one another. Thank you for helping us accomplish our work and our goals this day. We also pray this evening for Dr. Craig Manifold, our medical director, who passed away this week. May your presence be felt by his family during this difficult time. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Okay, next up, open session. Selena, nobody signed up?
Correct, nobody.
Correct? Okay, we didn't have anyone sign up to speak, so we'll go past that and get to the consent agenda. Tonight, that's items 3 through 13. And the consent agenda is typically a grouping of items that the staff and I consider to be fairly routine city business. If a council member has a question, they can ask it. If it can be answered briefly, we'll take care of it. Otherwise, they can request to have it pulled, and it will move down into the items for individual consideration. So again, we have consent agenda items 3 through 13. Do we have any questions or requests to pull any of those?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question on number 12, the traffic impact analysis
Okay.
for Vantage at Helotes subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's in our extraterritorial jurisdiction, and we really, but we don't have a whole lot of jurisdiction over it, other than, our tree and ordinance and that kind of thing.
Signage, yeah.
So, this traffic impact analysis, which the city engineer said, should pass, that they've been seeing, it said that it was only there's 244 or so apartment units, and it's only going to affect the traffic. And this is the thing that bothers me, is it's on the corner of Gom and 1604. 1560, which is it's such a heavy traffic area, and this is an apartment complex. And I don't see how this traffic analysis said that it's not going to impact anything other than 30 seconds. It's going to, cars coming out. They also said they weren't going to need an additional turn lanes. I don't know. Forgive me, but I just don't see how this is possible. That with that area the way it is, it's not going to affect the traffic, but 30 seconds.
It actually, if you notice that Bear Appraisal District drawing, it's actually fronting that little cut through there. So it really doesn't frontage onto 1560 or Gom. And I guess that was part of the factor. I looked through it and just, the city engineer recognized the calculations they made, and they were okay with it and recommended approval, so.
If we approve, say we didn't approve it, we would have to give some kind of a reason. Okay. Okay, just because I have this trepidation that it's not correct doesn't mean anything, because I'm not a civil engineer or traffic engineer. But anyway, I just wanted to make my feelings known about it. I'm just a little, I guess, disturbed by it, but.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Any other questions on any item or request to pull any? Bert and Alan, feel free to say whether you have a question.
Bert does not. Alan does not.
What?
Alan does not.
Oh, okay. And just for everyone to know, so that these won't be mysterious voices, Councilmember Buys and Councilmember Holmes are with us by telephone tonight. Okay, well, if there are no questions and no requests to pull, then I would entertain a motion to approve consent agenda items 3 through 13.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve consent agenda items 3 through 13.
We have a motion from Fredericks. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Bert will second.
Alex beat you to it, Bert.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Remember the delay.
Yeah. Answer about 3 seconds sooner than you did then, and you'll be fine. Okay, so we have a motion from Fredericks, a second from Blue, to approve consent agenda items 3 through 13. No further discussion being required. We'll call the question. All in favor of approving items 3 through 13, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say
Aye.
Oh, yeah. Opposed, say no. So we do have 5 aye votes. Okay, items for individual consideration. Item 15, this is discussion of and action on a resolution approving the terms of a license agreement between the city of Helotes and,
It's number
oh yeah,
14.
I'm on 15. I skipped one.
Yeah.
I see that now because I picked up that I knew what 14 was. Discussion of and action on the appointment of Gregory Hayden to the Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors, place 6, with a term expiring September 30th, 2022. And Greg is here. So Greg, if you would, come up to the podium and just give your name and your address, and then the council members can ask you questions if they so choose.
Okay. My name is Greg Hayden. I live at 10531 Rockingham Trail, and I'm happy to be here in Helotes.
Tell them a little, you just moved there in July, right?
I did just relocate in July, but I've been in the Helotes area for quite a long time. My family runs a company here, Alamo Preferred Plumbing, which is based off of 1560, close to Braun. And we service not only the Helotes area, but the surrounding areas as well. I also carry a real estate license. I actually did all my transactions for my home purchase here in Helotes, as well as the sale of my previous home. So I've got experience in real estate as well. I have 3 children that are one's going to O'Connor, one's going to Garcia Middle School, and one would be at Helotes Elementary. So we're very invested in the community.
Good. Well, as I told you before, welcome to Helotes.
Thank you.
I know it's been something you've been working toward for quite a number of years.
Yes, sir.
Cynthia, any questions?
No, I'm just happy to see you and happy that we have a new individual to be appointed to this board.
Thank you.
Paul?
Congratulations. Thanks for stepping up and being involved in it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Bert, anything?
No, sir, not at this time.
Alex?
No, just good to meet you, and thank you for stepping up. More citizens should do the same.
Nice to meet you as well. Thank you.
Alan, anything from you?
No, just looking forward to meeting you in person, Greg.
You as well, Alan. Thank you.
Okay, well, no discussion being required, we'll call the question. All in favor of approving the appointment of Greg Hayden to the Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Greg. You're our newest member of the EDC board.
Thank you.
Mayor, did I miss the first and the second on that?
Huh?
Did I miss the first and second on that?
No, I was trying to see if you were awake.
I am awake.
I was so excited that and wanted to see if there were any questions. I just forgot. Thanks for reminding me. Well, wait just a second.
Yes,
Oh
We'll do it all.
it's on hold.
my goodness.
Take two. This doesn't happen often, but it does happen. Okay, so we need a motion and a second. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, that we discuss and take action on item 14 is written.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second that. This is Alan.
Alan, okay. So we have a motion from Massey and a second from Holmes. So again, we'll do this over. Well, we've already voted.
Yeah.
So I think we're okay.
Thank y'all very much.
Yeah. This will give you a story to tell later.
Yeah, it's on video, right?
Not too much. Yeah, we're live on YouTube, for crying out loud. Okay, now we go to 15, discussion of and action on a resolution approving the terms of a license agreement between the City of Helotes and the City of San Antonio for use and access of the Helotes Park Estates 3 shelter. And this is for mobile and portable radio communication. They're going to be moving a new structure in there, a prefab structure, and this is just something we've been working on for a while. I would like to point out that we still have a few comments on here, so there may be some minor corrections, but overall the document's 95+% complete. So what we're looking for is discussion of action on approving the resolution and the license agreement. So if we can have a motion and a second, please.
Mr. Mayor, move that we.
Mr. Mayor, Spurt, just make a motion, just go to take action on 15.
Okay, good. You started early enough. So we have a motion from Buys. You want a second?
Sure.
Second from Fredericks. So Bert, you're first up. Is your motion?
Yeah, quick, I have two questions. I didn't see anything in the documents about how much this is going to cost us. Is there any extra cost involved with this?
$1.
Or do you do it?
$1. $1.
$1, okay. And then my other question was, why do we have to have access to this? I mean, because we don't really do any repairs to the communications to such a place like that. Why do we have to be able to have 6 uniformed firefighters have to have access? I'm just curious about that.
That's just the way it's been all along, and so it's just carried over to here, and San Antonio doesn't have a problem with it. Marion, you have any comments other
Yeah,
than
we
that?
actually have equipment in there, so our radio equipment is in there. The equipment that we use
Yeah.
for our radio equipment is in there, so if we need access or our vendor needs access, which is Daily Wells, we need to, but Daily Wells cannot go on there without our firefighters to to export them to the property. The
Yeah,
ironic thing is that also Daily Wells is San Antonio's, but they're not gonna go and, San Antonio can't authorize them to access our equipment, our firefighters have, or our staff has to.
So it's shared.
Okay.
No, it's our
it's
equipment, yeah, so they have equipment there too,
Yeah.
but we're given space, so they have their equipment there, we have a designated area for our equipment.
we have a rack.
We have a rack,
We'll have
yes.
it in there.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
That it?
Yes, sir.
Paul, what's your second?
I know, I was just wondering why we were doing this, or, And if they need access to San Antonio's equipment, do our guys go?
No.
like-
San
So,
Antonio,
so if someone from, needs to touch San Antonio's equipment, someone from San Antonio lets
that
them?
is correct.
Okay, alright. That's all.
Cynthia, Alex,
I have nothing, thank you.
Alan, anything?
No, I just, not being an IT guy, I don't know how big a rack is, and just want to make sure that was sufficient for our needs.
Yeah, that's just what, all of our equipment will slide into, and they'll make the connections. And like Marion was saying, the Daily Wells handles all of our, city, radios, and, they're pretty much the sole provider for that kind of stuff, in this area. Okay?
No further,
Huh? What?
No further questions.
No
I
further
said no further questions.
Okay. Bert, any follow-up?
No.
Anybody else, any follow-up? No? Then we'll call the question. All in favor of approving the resolution and the license agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Bert?
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. On to number 16, discussion of and action on an ordinance revising Article 1, collection and disposal, and by adding Article 3, trimming by tree contractors. This is something that we wanted to run by you all to tighten up a little bit and make it a little more clear how brush pickups are supposed to be handled in the city. And so Marion worked on this with staff, and the attorneys have looked at it and signed off on it as well. So we can have a motion and a second to discuss and take action on this ordinance, revising Article 3, trimming by tree contractors, and Article 1, collection and disposal of our code of ordinances.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we discuss and take action on 16 as written.
We have a motion from Massey. We have a second.
Second.
I'll second this, Bert.
Paul beat you to it, Bert.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Okay, Cynthia.
I have a couple of questions. One is the question is the different colors and the.
Oh, that was my thought.
But
I was
so
here, yeah, it's all the
of
same.
those
It's all the
new.
same. Yes,
Okay,
it's all
I
the
didn't
same.
realize that we didn't have any of this in there before.
Yeah, no, it was very loose. That's why we've had so much trouble trying to enforce it, because we just have the contract with C6.
Yeah, so, yeah, this is definitely, you need to add all this. I guess the violation, if someone doesn't, I guess that's what I missed, maybe I didn't read it real carefully, but, if someone doesn't, okay, you do have all contractors are required to obtain a permit regulated under chapter 94, section 94.3. And then you have stated in here that the property owners, and again, this wasn't in here before, that the property owners need to make sure that the brush is not there, is there only 2 weeks before.
Correct.
And all pick up just 1 week before.
Correct.
And since that was never in the ordinance, there was nothing we could do to,
Pretty much.
okay, so now that it's in there, I don't see any penalties though written down. If someone starts putting their brush out, say 3 weeks before or 4 weeks before, what happens then?
The penalty actually, it goes for, the penalty's under there in section 70:45. So the prohibit acts are in 70-4. So the penalty for any of the prohibited acts above that is in 70-5.
Okay, I can't. Oh, I see, 70, okay, 4 and 5, here we go.
So anything that's listed in the prohibited acts, if they violate that, the penalty is anything between 25 to 2,000.
Okay, and this is for both the,
Bulk and brush to be able to, if they,
and it's for the resident?
it's for the resident.
Okay.
It's for the resident. If they put it down, because I mean, if we go out.
And that was apparently here already.
The penalty was there for A and B, but there was nothing for C, there was no, C and D was not listed.
I see.
Then what we're saying on the tree contractors, so if we see someone cutting the tree down and they don't have a permit, the tree contractors will get a fine for that in section 94. But if a tree contractor puts, brush down, that's not the responsibility of the tree contractor, that's the responsibility on the homeowner, because they've allowed that. That becomes, it goes back to the
So the
homeowner.
homeowner has to be the one to make sure that their tree trimmer
Exactly.
picks up. Okay, so,
Correct.
okay,
It's on the homeowner at that point, because that's who's hired them. You know, it's a homeowner who has hired the tree contractor to pick up and has done that contract with the tree contractor.
okay, and so now we have the brush, say the resident doesn't say anything and it's there. And we already know that it was permitted to do it, and now who goes and tells them, and how does that violation happen? It goes to this penalty here?
Be code enforcement.
Code enforcement
would go and.
will go, right, if we see these, if we view it or we see that someone's pulled a tree permit and then there's
Red branches and brush there in a pile, and, okay. So the penalties then come into, but you would give them a warning, so you need to get rid of this in the next week, or you give them a couple of days?
right, we'll work with the homeowners at that point to say, it will not be picked up, we will work with,
Right.
But now if it's a repeated violation, we've done it before and so forth, then at that point citations will come into place.
Okay.
And we're working on a way to track that for repeat offenders.
Vendors,
And we've been giving people warnings as best we could, but they didn't really mean much. It was just kind of hey, you've messed up, you need to fix it, but if they didn't, we didn't have any enforcement capability.
Yeah.
So that's what this is for, which is what you all said last meeting, we need to be able to enforce it, so this is giving us the power to enforce it.
Yeah, and the thing about only 2 weeks before for brush pickup,
Yes.
that's gonna be a hard one, but, yeah, but anyway, but.
It's a learning experience.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
learning curve, but a lot of people don't put it out until the 2 weeks, but most do exceed that.
Yeah.
Some as much as 6 and 8 weeks.
a lot of it's trying to continue to, with our PR is educating, is trying to educate, get this information out.
And this last spring, we had the problem with the COVID and so many people were home, so they just started doing it.
Right.
And without even, there's nothing else apparently to do. But I think that once that's,
Once that's settled, and this is a routine thing,
Yeah.
hopefully that will be a difference.
I know my husband always says, when can I put the brush up, so I'm willing to keep some in line, he tells me, Anyway, okay, that's all I have to say.
Paul, anything?
No, I just, we've talked about brush ad nauseam. But just, when we send out something to the homeowners, either from C6 or us, it'd be nice to kind of
We-
remind them of this, that it's kind of a new thing.
We're gonna do it through our next door, so what we're trying to do is not just put it on the website, because like we talked about, there's all these tree gypsies, and so they look at municipal websites to find out, where are they doing, and then they go and entice the homeowners, and then cut the trees and just leave them there. So what we're doing is we're trying to do a campaign through Nextdoor and saying, here is the information. So it's only the people in Helotes that is getting the information, and then that's how we're trying to get that information out. And we're encouraging everybody and trying to do a campaign through our social media. Get on Nextdoor. That's where you're going to find a lot of the information that pertains to your neighborhood. That's how we're trying to get a lot of this information out. And of course, when people call us, we'll give them that information, and then we have what we call a special URL or bit URL to give residents information for the location of where this information is to our residents.
And C6 is also going to be putting out
Some information, yes.
Okay,
C6.
good.
Yeah, C6 definitely, they give out their information out,
Okay.
yeah. Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
And we worked with him so that the messages are consistent.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Bert, anything?
Yes, sir. As far as sending out the information, C6, like you said, they do send it out, but it's on the back of the bill, and you better have some good glasses to see it. I would suggest telling C6 to send it out in a separate piece of paper in bigger font, so you know the people might read it, because on the back of the bill it's very small.
And my understanding is they will have a separate insert in there, I believe, isn't that what George said?
That's what George had
Yeah.
said.
So there'll be the bill, and then
Okay.
there'll be this extra sheet, kind of a trifold.
Yeah, okay, very good, that's a good idea. And then one more question, this doesn't really have to do with the agenda item, but Marion, are we still going to possibly have one more code enforcement during brush pickup?
Yes.
Officer maybe out there?
Yes, we will. And we're probably going to have that person be a part-time code enforcement, just like we have for this other person that's code and animal. So we're changing some job descriptions so that person will, but that person will definitely concentrate on during brush and bulk pickup.
Okay, very good, thank you, that's all I had, Mayor.
Okay. Alex?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm torn because I know the absolute necessity of having this in our rules. We've talked about it. It's created a lot of problem. We've had a lot of conversation about it. But I also understand this pits us against our citizens when truly there's a business involved that is enabling the problem. So at a previous meeting, we talked about the fact that the permit that is granted is address specific, so we would know that, right? My thought is, would there be a possibility of requiring as a part of that permit that the company notify the resident of the requirement for them to remove it? Because I can envision a company coming out and they say, oh, just leave it there, we get bulk pickup, and then the contractor says, yeah, okay, no problem, and they're gone. And according to the way this words, anything left more than 48 hours is going to be considered illegally dumped. The resident's going to get the trouble, and if they haven't seen the notice and the contractor hasn't told them, that contractor's long gone by the time that 48 hours comes by, and then they're not going to be able to go back to the contractor, find them to get them to come out, and then what happens is we end up starting to.
So we do know, when they do get the permit, we give notification to that contractor, telling them that you can't leave the brush there. We do
Right,
have to-
and that's, I get that part.
Yeah.
I'm saying, tell the contractor, they have to notify the homeowner. Take it the next step, because if the homeowner isn't aware
The
of it,
problem with that is, how do we enforce that? You know what I mean? I have no problem with that, but
Yeah.
how do we stick the next step of?
I think sometimes it's that communication. If the
Right.
contractor, if the responsible tree company knows that they have to actually give something to the homeowner, that's
Homeowner.
one more thing. How can we enforce that? Maybe we can't.
I mean, we
But most
definitely
of
can
them who
write
come
that
to get a
down.
permit will actually follow through, and that will help to communicate this. I think it's especially since the permit is address specific, right?
Right.
It's every address they go to. Now, it doesn't solve the problem with what you refer to as the tree gypsies, the guys who aren't going to get the permit
Yeah, and
just show up.
the actual big tree contractors do. They actually do notify, because that's what we suggest within our application already. Notify your customers that you can't, leave it here and so forth. The McCoy tree trimming, the Davis, all those, we've had no problems with them. They actually pick up, it is the tree gypsies, it's the small companies that just come, fly-by-night companies that we've been having problems with. We can put it definitely, put it in the application as a requirement, suggestion requirement or whatever in there. I don't know on the enforcement aspect of it for us to be able to, but definitely that can be on the checklist for them to say you need to notify your.
I was thinking it's a great thing for the checklist. I wasn't
Yeah.
anticipating we could
Yeah.
we could enforce it. But if you suggest it, they'll more likely they'll follow it, which will get more of that word out that we're all concerned about. So that's the three different things I think of. Is one is the professional tree trimmers, and we probably will have that under control. The second is the less than professional tree trimmers who do that, and those are going to be the ones who unfortunately will be leaving our citizens in the lurch, because by the time we find them, the brush is there and the pile is there.
Well,
And really the third is going to be the self trimmers who decide to do as they've done for 20 years, and start piling it out there, and I'm curious maybe how we're gonna approach that one, because again, it's us against our citizens.
And like I said, we're gonna try as much as we can on the education part. As this brush pickup's coming out, we're gonna start putting more stuff this week coming up. Next door, do not put brush out prior to 2 weeks, brush collection is coming out. We actually just put something out on next door last week stating that, here's the list. It was a little picture of what the, schedule was, reminding them that, professional we don't pick up, brush from cut by professional tree trimmers, that do not put your, brush out 2 weeks before. So we already had bulletproofs in there. We're gonna continue that campaign throughout October and November, just keep reminding them through Nextdoor. Now, I know not everybody utilizes Nextdoor, but that's our best way. We'll also put something, out on our website as much as we can without listing, you know what I mean? Just reminding people when you do brush, this is the stuff that, and we also notify that, anytime we have, major code changes, I like to put that information out to our residents, not just publish it in the paper, but put it out on our website saying these are major code ordinance changes, because I think that's how residents need to know on our website, these are code changes that came about, so you know that, because otherwise, who looks at the code, who looks at that stuff, so that we try to get that information out, that these are major changes.
And I see those coming from Andrea on the Nextdoor app as well. The one thing I appreciate the fact that we included a lot of those definitions in here, because apparently they weren't present there, and I saw a lot of the definitions of the recyclable material. I don't think any of that is penalized if they accidentally put or intentionally put something in there that shouldn't be recycled, because they do that a lot. I walk around in my neighborhood and I see egg cartons and all sorts of things in there that shouldn't be. But at least I was hoping we weren't going to start fining people for putting styrofoam in their recycling.
No, we just want to put that in so we can do a campaign.
I'm good otherwise. Thank you for the time, sir.
Okay, and I don't know that I would look at this as the city being pitted against our residents any more than any other ordinance.
Oh, I don't either. I think they will think so.
Yeah, and the 2 weeks and 1 week, like you say, that's been a stipulation for many, many years. It's just been very difficult to enforce. But we have to remember too that not every tree trimmer is going to get a permit. So we're still going to have a lot of trimming going on out there without permits, and that's why we're adding the second person, and all of us are going to need to be diligent and let code enforcement know if we see something going on that we know shouldn't be, so that we can help educate the property owner and the tree trimmers. And it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. Alan, anything from you?
I don't have anything. All my concerns and questions have already been answered. On a separate subject, one of our citizens asked last meeting that council members please speak directly into their microphones when they're speaking, and I fully understand their concern. So I'll reiterate the citizens' request.
Yeah, good, fine. I keep forgetting to mention that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
I think he's talking to you.
I'm usually the loud one too. Oh, well.
Okay, Cynthia, any follow-up?
No.
Paul?
No.
Bert, any follow-up?
Yes, sir. Just I want to thank Marion and Dustin for the work they've done on this agenda item. You did a good job. Thank you.
And for Alex, anything?
Nothing, sir. Thank you.
Alan, last chance.
No, I'm okay.
Okay, no further discussion. We'll call the question. All in favor of approving the ordinance to revise Article 1, collection and disposal, and by adding Article 3, trimming by tree contractors, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
All right.
Oh. Alan, you said aye also, right?
My vote is aye.
Aye, okay, very good, thank you. Motion carries. We'll go on to item 17, discussion of and action on a resolution approving appropriations for the City of Helotes Economic Development Corporation's fiscal year ending 2021 maintenance and operating, interest and sinking, and capital budgets beginning October 1, 2020 and ending September 30th, 2021. And we have a motion and a second to discuss and take action on this resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we discuss and take action on item 17 as written.
I'll second it.
We have a motion from Frederick and a second from Blue. So Paul, you're up.
I really don't have anything. I'm all for approving their budget. I'm appreciative of what they're doing to do some more marketing. Their marketing and tourism dedication of quite a bit of funds to take over the marketplace and Carnival Parade and Christmas Parade. I think that's a good move for them. That's all I have.
Okay, Alex?
Thank you, Mayor. I did have one question, and this with regard more to the wording on this, and I'm not going to question whether the EDC should or shouldn't actually take over supporting that, and that's more my question. They're not really taking over the activities. They're really dedicating funds to the city to assist with the cost of those events, right?
They'll
So the
be-
city will still be completely running all of them.
Yes, and they'll be reimbursing
Right.
the city. We also have those in our budget, and then the EDC will reimburse our
There'll be a
expenses.
transfer once we can show the
I read it that way. I just wanted to clarify it for the record. Thank you.
Yes.
That's all.
Cynthia, anything?
Could you explain that again to me? I'm a little confused about who's paying for what and who's being reimbursed.
We're actually paying for the events as we have in years past.
The city
It's in
is?
our budget,
Yes.
yes. The
Okay.
city is. And then whatever we choose to have reimbursed, the EDC will reimburse those funds. It'll go back into the line item that they came out of.
For the city's
For
budget?
For the
in
city's
city's
budget, yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's why you just see it on the EDC budget as you know what I mean, it's not, you'll see it on the line item.
It's not specific to any events,
Any
it's just a
events,
lump
right.
sum that's gonna be available to us, even to use in Old Town for improvements and things like that. So, we're just gonna put together a list, and these funds are available, and whatever we need reimbursement for, we'll request it from the EDC.
Okay.
That it?
Yeah, that's it.
Bert?
Yes, sir. I don't have a question about the account, the $30,000 account, but the other account with the $110,000, is that an amount that carry over to next year, or will it be brought back to us again with their new budget?
That will be evaluated every single year, just depending on how successful Marketplace and the two parades and so forth. When I presented it to them, it actually was a lower amount, because I gave them the actual total that we had in previous years, and we averaged out what it cost us to run those events. And they actually put more money in because they want to be able to use those funds to be able to promote events in the city that bring people over to make Helotes a destination. So that 110, so even though some funds that we had not utilized for Marketplace and the parades and so forth, they want to be able to promote it. So we're looking at some promotion items, and so that's why those funds were 110. So we're gonna see if that works and allows people to, or attracts people, and if it does, then we'll keep it at that amount. And that amount can change, because for monies that can be used for marketing, it can only be a percentage of the full amount of the EDC. You can't go over 10% of your revenues. So that amount has to be determined by the revenues you're estimating on an annual basis.
Okay, thank you.
That it, Bert? You good with that, Bert?
Yes, I said, okay, thank you. I'm sorry, maybe it didn't come through.
Okay, Alan?
I'm okay. I like what I read.
Okay, Paul, any follow-up?
No, sir.
Any follow-up, Alex?
No, sir. Thank you.
Cynthia? Bert, you and Alan okay? And no follow-up?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll call the question. All in favor of approving the resolution for the EDC budget, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. 18, discussion of an action on an ordinance making appropriations for the support of the city of Helotes for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2020 and ending September 30th, 2021, appropriating money to a sinking fund to pay the interest and principal from the city's indebtedness, adopting the annual budget for the city of Helotes for 2020-2021 fiscal year, authorizing personnel positions and salaries, setting the holiday schedule for city employees for 2021, and authorizing the city administrator to spend monies accordingly as per the budget. So we'll have a discussion and action on this. So can we get a motion and a second?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the budget item number 18.
We have a motion from Fredericks for item 18. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I'll second. This is Bert.
Alex beat you to it, Bert.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Okay, Paul, you're up for any discussion on the budget?
I don't think I have anything, so I'm fine with it. Thanks for all the work and all y'all did for it with it.
Thank you.
Alex?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that there was a great deal of work. I appreciate that as well. And of course, I would want to make sure as we go through the final motion to approve the budget that we remind that in this year the ad valorem tax is actually decreasing, the tax rate is decreasing, and at the same time we're able to provide a 2% cost of living and a 1% merit rate increase for our employees, which I think is a wonderful thing to be able to do both at the same time, despite the fact that there are other expenses that have increased for us. But those are the comments I have on the budget, because I think that it was a well-done budget, but also included some very good things that are necessary for the city and its employees. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Alex. Cynthia?
No, I just like to say, yes, I agree with Councilmember Alex Blue's comments, and thank you for all the work that you did to put this budget together.
Alan?
I am fine with it, and I want to echo the thanks to the group and Mary for what the work that they put into this. I know it's been a long, arduous task, and I appreciate it very much.
Okay, Bert?
Same with me. Thanks for all the hard work, and tell Tabby thanks also.
I'm watching to make sure Marion's head doesn't start. She may have to wear a larger cap.
I do want to point out, I gave you a page 39. There is one change. It's not a fiscal financial, it's an authorized position change. After some discussion with the fire department, and we were looking at adding a training officer and getting rid of the part-time. As we kept looking at it and discussing it, and as things keep changing with COVID, allowing part-time, not allowing, we have decided to find the training officer position might not be a realistic thing, and to be able to continue to maintain the overtime. So we're looking at not having that position and instead maintaining only 4 part-time. And we'll be able to maintain, at a fully staffed, we are 1 short, but we're going to interview next week, so we'll have a full staff, and we think we can maintain that and part-time positions, and it's not going to change anything on the financial. All the numbers stay the same.
Okay, just make that clear. It doesn't change the numbers at all.
It doesn't change the numbers at all.
And we had that position in there, if you might recall Marion's presentation. We weren't necessarily going to fill it. The chief just wanted it in there, and like she said, after certain discussions, it was decided we really don't need that, so we wanted to keep the part-time positions.
Right.
So
Just to
basically,
maintain,
exactly
just
what she
overtime,
said.
so we don't go over.
Okay. Paul, did you have any follow-up on that?
No, sir.
Alex, any follow-up?
No, sir, but I think this is going to be a roll call vote, right?
Yes. Cynthia, any follow-up?
No.
Alan, anything from you?
No, sir.
Bert, you're still good?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay. And this will be a roll call vote. So we'll start with place 1, Councilmember Holmes. Aye or nay?
Aye.
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 Place 2.
I think you voted twice.
We'll start
My vote
with
is aye, sir.
Your Councilmember Blue, his vote is also aye. Place 3, Cynthia,
I'm for.
you're 4? That's right, you're 4.
I'll be 3 if it's okay.
Verse 3. Another momentary lapse. Okay,
Place
Bert.
3, Bert Weiss
Place 3,
votes
Bert
aye.
Weiss. Okay, Bert, so you said aye.
Yes, sir.
Place 4, Councilmember Massey.
Aye.
Place 5, Councilmember Fredericks.
Aye.
So we have 5 aye votes. Okay, we're going to 20 next, right?
Yes, we have.
So we're going to suspend the rules if there are no objections to go to 20 and then come back to 19, because that's what Marion says we need to do.
Yes.
Okay, so item 20 is discussion of an action on an ordinance levying an ad valorem on the property tax rate for the tax year 2020 in the amount of 34.6524 cents per $100 valuation, and directing the Bear County Tax Assessor Collector to assess the account for and distribute the ad valorem property taxes as levied. So that being said, we'll ask for a motion and a second to discuss and take action on item number 20. Hurry up,
Mr.
Bert.
Mayor, make a motion that we discuss, take action on 20 or 19?
We're doing 20 now.
20. Okay, 20.
And just so you know, everybody waited courteously for you to make the motion.
Well, that's very nice of you guys.
It was. A second? Do we have a second?
Second.
A second? We have a motion from Buys and a second from Fredericks. So, okay, Bert, you're up first. Any discussion on and what we'll do, we'll take a roll call vote on A, and then we'll take a roll call vote on B. So we'll do these separately. We'll divide the question. So, Bert, you have any question or discussion?
No, sir. What we have to do what the legislature tells us to do, so we gotta do it this way.
What? What do you
We
say?
have to do what the legislature tells us to do.
Oh,
sir.
yes, yes.
Mhm. I don't have anything else but that.
Okay,
We're good.
okay. Paul?
No, sir. I'm good.
Alan?
I'm okay.
Cynthia?
I'm fine with what we have to do.
Alex?
Nothing, sir, thank you.
Okay. And we have this motion has to be read. We'll do this for A and B, I guess.
Yeah,
We
so
did
you
the
just
same
read-
motion.
Same motion, yes.
It doesn't make sense that we do it for both of them in here. So we're gonna do A first, which is the maintenance and operations. So, well, gee, Bert, I'll read the motion and then Bert can affirm it. Bert, we're gonna amend the motion from as written to
Yes, sir.
the way I'm gonna read it, and then you can just attest that that's satisfactory for you as the motion maker.
Yes. Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay, this is, the motion will read, I move that the city of Helotes levy and adopt an ad valorem tax rate for the tax year 2020 of 34.6524 cents per hundred valuation, and that rate shall be made up of 0.272646 for maintenance and operations. I'm just going to read it all. And 7.3878 cents for debt service and providing when taxes shall become due October 1, 2020, and shall become delinquent if not paid by January 31st, 2021. So that would be the amended motion, and Bert, you're okay with that?
I'm okay with that, with the verbiage in the amended motion.
You're really not, but you're saying that. Okay. Paul, are you good with that?
Yes, sir.
Alan?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm okay.
We'll do the roll call vote. Okay, again, Alan, place one, Councilmember Holmes, to approve item A, which is the ad valorem maintenance and operations rate. You say aye?
Aye.
Councilmember Blue, place
Aye.
2, also votes aye. Councilmember Bies, place 3.
Aye.
Councilmember Massey, place 4.
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks, place 5.
Aye.
We have 5 aye votes. 20A is approved. And I'm not going to bother with reading the motion. The motion is a matter of record. The motion will remain the same for item B, and that's an amended motion. Bert, you're still good with that?
I'm good with that, sir.
The amended, okay, as read. And Paul, you are also?
Yes.
As a second. Again, we'll do a roll call vote on 20B, which is the ad valorem tax rate for interest in sinking debt service expenditures. Alan, Councilmember Holmes, place
Aye.
1. He votes aye.
Aye.
Councilmember Blue, place 2.
Aye.
Councilmember Bies, place 3.
Aye.
Councilmember Massey, place 4.
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks, place 5.
Aye.
Okay, item 20, A and B, ad valorem maintenance and operations and sinking fund are approved by unanimous votes. And next up, we have item 19, going back to that. This is a discussion of an action on an ordinance ratifying the adoption of the fiscal year ending 2021 municipal budget, raising more revenue from ad valorem taxes due to increased property evaluations and the addition of real property to the tax roll than in the fiscal year ending 2020 municipal budget. So if we can have a motion and a second to discuss and take action on ratifying the ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we discuss and take action on item 19 as written.
We have a motion from Massey. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Fredericks. Okay, Cynthia, any discussion?
No, no, I don't have any discussion.
Okay. Paul?
No, sir. It's a nice place to be.
Bert?
No.
Alex?
No discussion, thank you, sir.
Alan?
No questions.
Okay, and again, this just ratifies the increase in the property tax revenues as indicated. So again, this is a roll call vote. This is item 19. So yes vote will be to ratify. Place 1, Councilmember Holmes.
Aye.
Place 2, Councilmember Blue.
Aye.
Place 3, Councilmember Bies.
Aye.
Place 4, Councilmember Massey.
Aye.
Place 5, Councilmember Fredericks.
Aye.
Okay, it's a unanimous vote, and it's ratified. Takes us to our last item, 21, discussion of an action on an ordinance establishing the municipal fee schedule for fiscal year ending 2021. So if I can have a motion and a second to discuss and take action on the ordinance for the municipal fee schedule.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we discuss and take action on item 21 as written.
Okay, we have a motion from Massey, do we have a second?
Okay.
Second from Fredericks. And again, Marion had mentioned, you wanna mention it again, we didn't really raise anything but very few of these things, we added some new things. And I guess we can let it go at that unless they have some question, okay? Because you went over that initially.
Right.
Cynthia, any questions?
I do have a few questions.
Okay.
On the boarding of animals, like the cats, which was added apparently. Who pays for this? This is if somebody loses their cat and we end up with it, then, but so there's no fee if no one ever shows up and says, this is my cat. But if it is, then, okay, so it's the resident who owns the cat owner.
That's correct.
On the pool, fee, let me see. This looks new, electrical, mechanical, plumbing permit. Is this for any kind of pool above ground as well? It says, let's see, pool permit, oh, wait.
No.
I don't know that we made a difference, but typically your above ground pool would be.
Oh, okay, I wasn't seeing it properly, okay, patio cover, oh, I see, that's
So,
four
yeah, so we
twenty-five.
actually, the patio, it was a reduction because of the regulations last year. Everything had to be by square footage instead of the cost, the valuation. So people that were putting patio covers that didn't have enclosed or so forth were paying very high permit fees. And so when we looked at it and we evaluated it, we came out with a flat fee instead, because some people that were doing bigger, just patio, they were just covers that weren't enclosed, didn't have electric, didn't have anything else, but still needed inspections and so forth, could, because of square footage, could have a $1,200 permit
That's
fee.
crazy.
So we reevaluated and did a flat fee instead, and that will cover the cost of the inspections that are required.
And the plan review.
And the plan review, yes.
Okay, so the pool permit, it just says schedule, what does that mean?
There's, I have to look at that, I think there's a schedule that we have, depending on how many inspections and how big it is. So we do have a schedule within our code,
Oh,
you know what I mean? Depending on what they're building and the plan reviews to go with it.
okay, I don't know, this the patio cover and deck thing is $425 permit, it seems like a lot of money for something like that to me, and it was actually more than that, so that's kind of interesting, but I don't know,
That covers our actual cost of, the inspection of the plan checking fee, and then it added, I believe we figured 15% for admin fees for processing and doing the permit and all of that kind of stuff. So it's our staff costs here also.
And it was comparable to other cities, we
Yeah.
did look at other cities, and it's comparable to other cities.
okay.
And this is an open carport or patio cover of any size.
And porch extensions that might not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, whether it has a slab or not, we put enough in there for the inspections that will be required regardless.
Yeah, and like I said, we looked at, we compared to other cities what the cost of that is, and so it's very comparable.
All right, that's it.
Paul?
My only question was the body worn camera recording.
Mhm.
So if we use a recording in a case, they
No, if someone requests public information, we
Okay.
used to not have body worn cameras, so
Right.
we didn't have a fee for it. And now we're getting people that know that we have it, so they request a copy.
and that's public.
It is public information as long as it's not an open
That's
investigation.
the fee that's allowed by the.
That's all I have.
Alex?
Thank you. I had a question, it's probably a silly one, but if you look on the bottom of the first page where we're talking about under the animal control fees, under item M, where it says daily boarding,
Mhm.
the row number 1 says all cats, but there's no fee. Below the words all cats, it says 0 to 20 pounds, 21 to 40, 41 to 60, etc. And if anybody's got a 100-pound cat,
And I believe
they probably eat a lot, we might want to charge a bigger fee.
dogs.
So I was curious, because there's no reference to dogs there, but that seems like that probably is, should we maybe clarify?
There should be
It's
references.
Anyway,
I don't think anybody would think it's a 100-pound cat, only you, Councilmember Bloom.
Well, it does,
But yes, the implication is that it's for dogs, but we
Yes.
can certainly add that, so there won't be any
but if you do
confusion.
look at it, there's no reference to the word dog, it just says cat, since there's no price, and then below it is a weight schedule.
We'll make that correction.
It's-
Thank you for pointing
I
that
thought I
out.
would just ask that question, I thought maybe that's
that
where
could be mine
Councilmember
or
Massey was
tiger.
going.
Yeah.
Or Garfield, but
right.
that was
We
the
will
only
make it
question.
correct.
It looks great, thank you.
Yeah, we'll adjust that. Okay, Alan,
I have no questions.
Bert,
What's wrong with the 100-pound cat? No, sir, I have no questions.
okay, back to you, Cynthia, any follow-up?
No.
All? Anybody else, any follow-up? Okay, then.
No, sir.
Then we'll get her done. We'll call the question, all in favor of approving the ordinance, say aye.
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 Okay, and that's a unanimous vote, no nay votes. And by golly, that takes us to the end of our agenda. I'd like to thank too Marion and her staff for keeping this thing together and keeping everything on track. I've enjoyed working with her on it, and she's done a yeoman's task on this. I would also like to thank you guys and gals as council members for working your way through this and approving the budget. The numbers Marion and I are very confident with. We'll see at year end how we did,
Well,
because as we always say, this is only an estimate, and we've usually been pretty accurate on our estimates for revenues and expenses, so we'll see how we look this time next year. So that being said, we're at the end of the agenda. If there are no objections to adjourning, we will adjourn. Hearing none, we're adjourned at 8:01. If we hadn't talked about the 100-pound cat.